Greetings and welcome to Connecting with the Intent Show. I'm your host Muhammad Awais. On this episode, we have a very special guest. He is author, trainer, consultant, and keynote speaker, Derrick Chevalier. Please join me to give a warm welcome to our guest, Derrick. Derrick, welcome.
Welcome, Mohammed. Thank you so much for inviting me on the show. I appreciate it.
Let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who were you surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
That's a great question. So I was in Los Angeles, where I lived, and the economy was in a downturn. This was many years ago, and I had been a mortgage broker and a college lecturer and done a lot of different things. But when the economy kind of squashed, I was left to decide what I would do next. And in searching through the newspaper one day, I saw an ad for negotiation facilitators. And immediately I knew that's what I had really prepared for all my life because I had trained to go to law school and I spent some time in law school, but it wasn't perfect for me. But the combination of negotiation, which involves law and speech and theater and learning, that was perfect. So I went and competed with hundreds and hundreds of other people for three spots with the individual who became my mentor. And I actually spent 3 months, no pay, working 15, 16 hours a day to compete to win the opportunity to work with him.
What is your higher purpose in life?
Great question. To give more than I receive and to pursue wealth over riches. So the way I see it, that riches are the things that money can buy, and you need that. You got to pay your rent and eat and all of that. But wealth is an appreciation for the things that money cannot buy, right? A sunset, a friendship, a bird in the sky, a cloud. Those things, no matter how much money you have, will not be better than they are. And wealth is really part of the harmony of life. So, harmony in those things.
What have been top three greatest challenges that you have had to overcome?
Whoa, well, first of all, I'm multiracial. So I have a multiracial background and today that's more people talk more about it, it's more common. But as I was growing up, it was very uncommon. So I didn't really fit in anywhere, right? I was belonged everywhere and nowhere at the same time. I was also raised by a single mother who had been abandoned. Her mother died early and her father abandoned her. So there were, issues of growing up in a lower economic environment, and then the challenges of identity. And I never knew my father. So those were challenges that were pretty significant in life. Uh, and I look back then, I didn't feel that then because that was my environment. But as I got older, I realized that there were some impacts in being in that environment and living the way I did and having the family that I did. So those were pretty significant challenges.
What is your greatest failure story? What did you learn and how did you recover from it?
Wow. Well, I've been divorced twice. That and each of those was a huge failure in so many ways because you don't get married to get divorced. So, along with the divorces, and both of them came at times when I was at a certain part in my life, I was doing very well in my career. And then when the divorces happened, I literally went from being the first time I was 30, 28, 33 years old. And I went from having two homes and a sailboat and a horse and a wife and a stepdaughter to living on my mother's couch. That was pretty significant. And then I moved from my mother's couch over a period of years. It was about 10, 15 years that before I was married again, actually. And then I went from that all the way to building up two beautiful children. And then I went from that to really struggling with the impact of the divorce on my children and on myself. And I never expected that. So it was devastating. And what I learned, there are many things, but the main thing that I learned is that people don't really know who they are until they're presented with options. So a lot of times people think, oh, like my ex-wife said, I want to have 5 kids. And so right away we had 2 children. But she didn't really know what she wanted to do professionally. And when she found out what she wanted to do and did it and began being very successful at that, she wasn't as interested in the family or having kids, certainly, or being in a relationship with me. So I don't blame her for that because she was in a very different place. And had she known about what she wanted to do and how it would impact her, I don't think she would have gotten married. So that was difficult, you know.
Yeah. What is the most impactful book you have read, and what did you
Oh,
learn from it?
the book is a book by M. Scott Peck. And the book is called The Road Less Traveled. The first line in the book is a simple sentence: life is difficult, period. The rest of the book explains that life is difficult for everyone, no matter what color, size, shape, if you're rich or poor, black, white in the United States, the Middle East, wherever you are. Life brings challenges to people and in different ways. And so if we understand that life is difficult for everyone, we are less focused on the fact of the difficulties that we struggle with, and we're not surprised that that we have difficulties. Now, when I first read that book, and I read that book periodically, I didn't know a lot of famous, really wealthy people. I think I was in university at the time pursuing a master's degree. But today, I know some of the wealthiest people in the world. I know celebrities, I know directors, I know authors, I know politicians. I've traveled and worked all over the world. And I know people. I know people that have grown up their entire lives who are some of the most iconic families on planet Earth. And all of them struggle with something, no matter the fame or wealth or no wealth or young or old or man or woman, all of them have issues, and some more than others, right? And so you learn that money isn't the answer to everything, right? And you also learn that just because you get what you want doesn't mean that you're not going to continue to evolve, right? And there will be challenges along the way. So I periodically read that book to remind myself life is difficult for everybody.
What are your goals for the next 12 months?
I love that. Well, I'm actually, over the last year or so, I've changed the focus of my work because most of my professional work, I built my business on a repeat and referral client relationship. So I work very intimately with a few clients, and get great results doing that. Right. However, the way that I have worked does not allow me to scale what I do and offer it to more people around the world. So I've also written 3 books, and one of them, it's in a book series. And one of them I think is a very important book. It's called Evolve or Be Slaughtered, Negotiation for the 21st Century. And I wrote the book originally in 2015, and then it was republished in 2020. It's now being republished in 2025. We've got a great publisher. It's been updated, and the book was designed to be updated periodically as things evolve in the world, right? So over the next 12 months, I really want to get the message out, encourage people to not just read the book, but to learn and adapt a lot of the principles and strategies and tactics in the book, because every human interaction involves some type of negotiation. And most people don't understand that. And also, Evolve is a very different process of negotiation, unlike anything since Sun Tzu. And so I went all the way back 3,000 years and looked at all the great people worldwide that have impacted the world, considered what they'd done, look at those things that have continued to be true today as they were 3,000 years ago, and then ask myself, well, how are those principles changed in a technology driven world? I call it an emerging integrated global economy, full of technology and the birth of AI. How have those things changed, and how can they be adapted for the world today and the world going forward? So that's really my mission, is to support and encourage people to learn those skills, because they can help you build a better life, but also to be happier and more fulfilled where you are in life. And it expands your vision of life. So, in a nutshell, I'm really encouraging people to understand this. Most people in the world understand the idea of trying to find balance in life. But if you think about it, it's impossible to have balance in life. If you get on a teeter-totter, the only way you can achieve balance is if the other person on the other side is exactly the same size, shape, and weight as you are. And even then, it's almost impossible to maintain balance. But harmony in life means that there will be difficult things we deal with. At the same time, there are wonderful things that we're dealing with. There will be things that we know and that we've learned, and things that we need to learn as we grow. So I'm on a mission to encourage people to seek harmony in life, not a balance in life, because frustration comes from that. But with harmony, we are able to live a more fulfilled life where we are, while we're there with what we have, as we move and continue to evolve. So that is my mission.
What advice you will give to younger yourself?
Not everything you believe is true. Not everything you feel is a fact. And not every failure is a reflection of who you are as a human being. So the issue is that failure is an event, it's not a person. And when I was young, I struggled because of my background, always feeling that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't smart enough, that I wasn't wealthy enough or handsome enough or from the right family, and I didn't fit in. So anytime I wasn't able to really excel at something, I would feel as though I had failed. And I often spent lots of time and heartache and tears in that failure. And then one of the greatest sales trainers in world, Zig Ziglar, I listened to him and he said, failure is an event. It's not a human being. So I would have sold myself that while I may fail and things may not work out, that doesn't mean that I failed. It means that something I attempted to do failed and that I fell short of a goal. But if I look at that and decide, well, what can I learn? The very question that you're asking me, what can I learn from this that can help me approach life going forward? Then it becomes bucks in the bank, so to speak. You're right. I can use that experience as part of the wisdom that I build to approach my life. And that's one of the reasons I wrote a book. My first book was called From Fear to Fearless. And that book is really, it's not a book that you read, it's a book that you work, because I was thinking, what steps do I need to take when I'm feeling like a failure and when I'm broken and when I'm crying? So, and when I don't feel I have any hope or any way to go forward, not what should I think, but what should I do to help me move through that process? And that was actually the first book in the Beyond Negotiating series, because if fear stops you from taking action, then fear wins. So, and then you feel like a failure, and fear will invite you to feel like a failure and to stop you from moving forward. So, again, out of all the failure that I was talking about came that book. And the interesting thing is, when I wrote the book, I thought, wow, I really understand how to deal with adversity in life. I've lost everything twice. I've, been broken and had to start all over again and then failed again. And now I know how to do it. Little did I know that when I wrote Fear to Fearless, I was writing a primer not just for everyone else, but for myself, because many failures had followed that. And even all these years later, I periodically pick up. I wrote the book initially back in 2003, and then again it was published in 2005, and then again in 2009. So it's out there and available. But when I'm really broken, I'll pick up that book and I don't look at it like, oh, I wrote this book. I look at it as, wow, who said that? And I look at it and say, oh, yeah, yeah, I feel this way. I'm beat up. And I don't know what to do. And I'll open that book and it'll go, okay, you feel beat up, you feel defeated, and you feel like you want to give up. So there's a chapter in that book that says, it's okay to give up. Now that right, it's okay to give up. So I in the book it says like, yeah, sometimes we're just beat. We don't want somebody going, "Oh, it's going to be okay." We don't want somebody cheerleading us and try to make us feel better. We're just broken. So Fear to Fearless says, if you're that broken, don't waste your time. Get into it. Go in your house, put the saddest music you know on, close all of your windows, all of your blinds, put on the absolute most sad, read the saddest book, cry, eat as much popcorn and drink as much wine as you need to, feel sorry for yourself. And then 24 hours later, you open those warm curtains, you open the window, you put away the popcorn and the wine, and you get into relentless action and pursue the next step in your journey.
How can we support you?
That I don't know that an interviewer ever asked that. That's part of why you're so great at what you do, and it reflects your heart. So thank you for that. So I would encourage people. take a look at our website. But certainly, if you're struggling, I would really encourage you. I know Fear to Fearless is out there all over the internet. I would really encourage people to use that. And if they've got input or questions, you can go on my LinkedIn or on my website and book a free, no cost, no obligation consultation. I'm happy to talk with you for a few minutes and find out how you are, and perhaps provide and share something that I can. But the other big thing is Evolve or Be Slaughtered, Negotiation for the 21st Century, is being republished for 2025. I expect that it will be out in the next couple of months. So I would encourage people to read it and look at it and use it and grow from it. And that would be a great help to me, because the other part of I'm older now. So what I'm focused on now is not what I've made or what I keep, but what I'm able to give away and what I'm able to create, so that when my time comes, there's a legacy left that it reminds people of the possibilities of life. So that's helped me by being strong and focused, and by sharing your joy with the rest of the world and doing the kinds of things you do. That would help me.
What would you say about your guest appearance on the show?
You know, I would say that this was the best experience that I've had ever. And I've been on morning shows, ABC, NBC. I had a morning show for a long time that I'm on. I've, done lots of interviews. The sincerity of what you do, the preparation, the great, thoughtful questions that you ask, your heart. I can tell from your voice and your spirit that you are sincerely dedicated to helping other people. I think that we are kindred spirits, because I think that your mission and my mission are aligned. So, my experience on the show, I feel as though I've met a B fam. Have you ever heard that expression, B fam? BFAM, BFAAM, and that stands for I think I met a brother from another mother. So I feel very pleased to have met you and had the opportunity to share with you and with your audience. Very privileged. So it was my privilege to have an honor to spend some time with you.
Thank you so much for your kind words. I really appreciate you for this. What closing thoughts would you like to share with our listeners?
Seek wealth and riches, and give more than you get, and continue to evolve. Give up for a moment, but for no longer, and believe that the best is yet to come if you stay in the fight.
Thank you so much, Derek, for sharing your wisdom with us today. On the behalf of Connecting with Intent Community and our entire team, we really appreciate you. This is Muhammad Wes. Until the next episode, all good wishes.